like basically Ryan Reynolds may have gotten his blank check movie from Disney after like the Deadpool success. Would you give him an R-rated like Star Wars project?
I'll give him R-rated something, all right, but it won't be a Star Wars project. I don't think he has any business being anywhere near Star Wars for an R-rated project. Okay, that's the specificity of your question. So yes, a PG-13, a PG project. Bring in that sarcastic fool and do all his jokes and all of that. Even though I think it has no place in Star Wars, like I said, no your mama jokes, none of that stuff. It doesn't work. The Huck stuff with Snoke was ridiculous. I hate that kind of Star Wars, right? So I think Ryan would make an entire movie that was like that, and Sean Levy's not going to put the barriers on Ryan doing that. So it would just be possibly a mess. So I don't want him anywhere near an R-rated Star Wars situation. I would like to have someone with a bit more seriousness, a bit more of a track record of delivering some good R-rated content that isn't about pieces of the anatomy of human beings. So that's the way that I would look at it. 100%.
Well, like, what you're saying though, like I'm kind of like thinking about are you just as upset about like the Taika Waititi one? Because I mean he's less serious like about this than Ryan is.
I think Taika's not the right choice either. I think they're trying to take advantage of names that are currently hot. And I don't think I would want to see a Taika. Did we miss Love and Thunder? I mean, what are we talking about here? So I think there would be dangers on so many levels if you bring in people who have a comedic sensibility. Because look what happened with the reports on James Gunn. The new reports are that they took out some of the humor from Superman movie because it was leaning too heavily into the humor, which is the instinct of a lot of directors who come from that school. And that could be dangerous of the franchise because you undercut the seriousness, right? I mean, who came out of Deadpool and Wolverine was like, wow, that's a really great commentary on friendship. No, you came out of it going like, wow, it was great to see these abs and these jokes. And apparently use that to make fun of the guy who was directing your wife in a movie. So these are the dangers when you run into a Ryan Reynolds situation. And I think the 15 minutes are up on his shtick a little bit. So we'll see though.
Okay, Chris, how are you feeling about Ryan Reynolds in a Star Wars project?
What I heard was he was like, I don't have to be attached to it. It could be somebody else, and they could do their whole R-rated thing. Blah 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 blah. I'm like this. No, on all of it. I don't want to. I don't want to see it at all. No, fuck your R-rated shit. Get that out of my store. No. I don't want any R-rated stuff for Star Wars. And I hate. I'm not like you, Pete, Nick. I'm not like this line in the sand kind of person when it comes to Star Wars. But no, I don't want any R-rated Star Wars. That just,
Chris, you don't want Jedi lightsaber dick jokes. You don't want
that. Didn't we already get that in Spaceballs? I mean, come
on. I'll take R-rated Star Wars stuff when it comes to like when I'm watching Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Bong Saber, absolutely. Any Star Wars itself, like just R-rated and that. No, that's not. No.
All right, what about you, Nick?
So, as a rule, I am not against the idea of an R-rated Star Wars if it makes sense. I think the problem is we spend a lot of time going, "Oh, we wanted Boba Fett to be a Quentin Tarantino movie," or we want it like if there's going to be an R-rated Star Wars, it's going to be because of like language or the stakes of like Andor, because it's something that's serious and builds stakes and pressure. It doesn't have to be fart jokes. It doesn't have to be in sync dance routines. I don't have any like this whole Ryan Reynolds Baldoni situation. I don't need to be involved in that. I need to stay out of that. I appreciate Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney because I have become a huge fan of Wrexham and I love the documentary about Wrexham and I follow them as a soccer team and I wasn't a soccer guy before that. It's an incredible story, the things that they've done for this town in Wales. So I'm all about Ryan, keep doing that. If you want to make some other Deadpools, knock yourself out. I do say the one caveat to that is if he wants to be involved with something creatively but doesn't feel like he has to be on camera, I don't necessarily have an issue with that because he is clearly a creative guy. He has some juice. He can do some things, but it doesn't necessarily have to be R-rated Star Wars.
Fair enough. What do you think, Pete?
I can't think of a reason to make a Star Wars that's rated R, right? I know Andor got pretty close on it. They were very effective in bringing us some of the darkest possible things without showing it, by letting you know how harsh and evil the Empire is. And I honestly can't think of her. I mean, because Star Wars is not going to use Earth related curse words and things like that, other than shit, which apparently is a commonplace in Andor. But you can say that in a PG-13 movie, so that's fine. But I just can't see anything, even from a violence perspective. And I think if the violence was rated R violence, that would not feel like Star Wars. In fact,
Correct.
you know, when we were doing the Road to Rebellion show, you know, one of the comments I made was the Gorman massacre was so well done, but it felt almost too much for Star Wars. So, and I'm not a prude. I love a good Tarantino movie. I love a movie that uses its R rating for the right reasons. But I'm hard pressed to find a reason to make an R-rated Star Wars movie. So that's my perspective. Shinobi says, "What? I don't need my Star Wars to grow up with me," but that's just me. That's fair.